And just to add on to this, we got a question from Justin. Justin, what's 75 hard? And so that's something to clarify too, because a lot of people think 75 hard is a diet, and it's not a diet. It's a lifestyle change. It's a way that you go about it's creating healthy habits and what we consider laying bricks to your foundation day in and day out. So, and make sure you add to it if I get it, if I miss out on anything. But essentially, there's different phases of 75 hard. And the initial phase would be you stick to a diet. You stick to a diet, right? No matter what you choose what the diet is, the biggest thing is sticking to it, being consistent with the day in and day out. You got to drink a gallon of water. You have to have two 45-minute workouts. One must be outdoor. You have to read 10 pages of a self-development book. And then there was a fifth one. What was the fifth one? It was the gallon of water, the two workouts, reading. Oh, you have to take a picture. You have to take a picture before the 24 hours or before your quote unquote work day ends. Before you go to sleep. And you do that for 75 days consistently. And what's that supposed to show you is pretty much ultimately when you stick to whether it's eating something bad or, you got a good diet that you're going to go off of. When you do that for 75 days consistently, you'll start to see changes in your body. So it's one of those, it's just an effect of doing this type of program. And when you're reading 10 pages a day for 75 days, you should get through a couple books. And so you'll start to see the way that your mind shift changes. And drinking the water, you should be able to have a whole lot more energy. Your body's going to start to recover. But the biggest thing I believe is when you start to what makes it a challenge is because now you don't have the excuses that you would typically tell yourself if there's no accountability. I think that's the biggest thing for a lot of people is just having that accountability of knowing that you have to start over if you don't complete one of those things. So none of them are really huge things. But if you don't do it consistently, you end up having to start over. And so it teaches you how to focus your attention on details on days that you don't feel like you can do it, right? You have to channel in that focus. And it's just really an accountability thing and being able to tell yourself that when you put your mind to something, you can finish.
Well, I'd say most people haven't had to push through hard things in adulthood.
Yeah.
Like just legitimately, like mentally, physically, I feel like we've been blessed as far as being athletes. Like to where I was like, bro, I'm always going to work the hardest. And like, that's how I kind of calloused my mind.
Yeah.
But then even in football, like you go through stupid hard shit for no reason. And it's just to callous your mind.
Mm-hmm.
To where if you apply that into a different vertical, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really good. And yeah, hell yeah, Justin, start that today, bro.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Make sure you share it on Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that, right? Because you can use your followers and people like that to hold you accountable. Also, that's just a different layer for it.
And get gassed. I failed. And Justin, by the way, I failed 3 times before I finished.
Yeah,
three or 4 times. It took me like a year to finish.
Wow.
It took me and of bullshit and negotiating with man or bitch. Like, bro, you're day 3 in. Eat some fucking cake.
Yeah.
Right. To where, bro, we can just start over. We're not that deep. Right. To where you got to get that momentum, and then it starts to get like, oh man, I'm gonna lose it all.
And the biggest tip I can give you is when people think the 2 workouts a day, everyone thinks that it has to be strength training, and you can feel like on day 1, day 2, like I'm just walking, this shit's weak. But when you start to hit day 30, day 40, and you're still trying to go hard in the gym 2 times a day, like, whether it be outside, you're doing some CrossFit activities outside and you're doing strength training on the inside, by day 10, you're going to start feeling it. And that's usually when people are going to end up failing out of it. Keep it simple. Keep it something that that you could probably manage for 75 days, but still be able to get a good workout in, because 75 days is a lot. And when you mix an hour and 30 minutes daily, you're going to get results as long as you're consistent with it. And I think that's to show for anything in your businesses and stuff like that. You do anything for 75 days, no matter how small it is.
Regimen. Like,
yeah.
And this is why we go back into KPIs. This is what will get you out of your funk, right? Because you're doing a bunch of different things the wrong way, and you started to lose your discipline in whatever you're doing. Because odds are, again, most people aren't smarter than you. They're just more disciplined than you, and they can develop skills faster than you are because they're more disciplined in developing the skills. Right. So if you can just put that 75 hard in place, like I know you saw a jump in your income, like the jump in the better way you feel. Like
Sure.
There's just so much more momentum that's going on, and it comes from the discipline that you start to implement in your life, in your business. Because once you do all those other things, once you implement all those things, or you can start to think of other things you can put in place in your business. Like, hey, this thing regimented every day. We need to do this every day. And when you're already in that checkbox and role, like, okay, well, I'm doing this, this, and this, you already built that momentum for your fucking day, dude. And then you can go and attack your day even more, especially when you knock it out in the morning.
Yep. And that's what it teaches you, right? You don't want to be up late trying to knock off three of the 5 items when you could just wake up an hour earlier and be able to have a workout in, your gallon of water almost done, you done read. Like, it doesn't change anyone's schedule in the sense of your family life. And it makes it a whole lot easier in the evening, because at the end of the day, life happens, shit happens. And so what you're doing is pretty much you're being able to handle all those things, or most of those things, before life comes around and tries to fuck it up. So when people say, oh, I just didn't have enough time, no, you just didn't manage your time correctly in order to get done what you needed to get done.